Welcome to the Instant Reaction Report. I'm your co-host Sirik, and I'm always joined by my co-host Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? The game is still going on. The Patriots and Cowboys, but because it was such a lopsided game, we just decided to start recording for our audience. We haven't even looked at the scores for today's game, or maybe we have. Ron, let's just start with the Patriots. The game is still going on, but we've seen enough, right? We already seen the Patriots are not going to win this game. Right now, the score is 38-3. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Ron, I know we're going to get to the Steelers, but what can you say about the Patriots?
Man, I'm going to let you do the talking for this one. I watched the entire game, but you're the Pats fan. I'll let you speak to them. I got a lot to say when we get to the Steelers, so I'm going to let you share your thoughts on what you saw today.
I mean, there's not much to say, right? It's basically what they've been doing for the last 3 games. They barely won the Jets game, but they make penalties. They have turnovers. I have 2 interceptions by Mac Jones. I have 6 for 50 in penalties, 3 turnovers overall because, there was a fumble by Mac Jones too. I mean, anything that you can think about going wrong, it's going wrong. The Cowboys offense can do whatever they want. There's nothing else. This is maybe like, I thought last week that maybe this team was like 15 to 20, but it's below 20. I mean, it's down there with the winless teams, I would say. I don't know what else to put it. They haven't gotten better. They've gotten worse. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. They look awful. They look terrible, especially on offense.
Let's break this down a little bit. Talk about the offense and Mac Jones. His performance today. Is he the answer at quarterback?
He's definitely not the answer. I mean, I've already told you that I don't think he's going to get an extension. I think that what they ask for him, they say, don't turn the ball over. Don't make dumb mistakes. And today, he threw across the field once. And for some reason, which they teach you never to do, for some reason, he decided to do it again.
Twice, yeah.
And what happened the second time? He got picked and turned back for 6. So I don't know what else to say. This is like, quarterbacking 101. You just don't do that unless, you're Patrick Mahomes or somebody that has a rifle for an arm. He doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't have a rifle or a arm. So why even try it? I don't know.
Trying to make a play when one's not there. Some frustration, I'm sure, for not getting points, not being able to put points on the board. You start to force things a little bit. As bad as he looked, you guys have scored 3 points so far? Still better. I would take this offense over what I saw today from the Steelers. But I think, for the Patriots, this drops you to what on the season?
1-3.
1-3. You're looking up at basically everyone except maybe the Jets. They play tonight. We'll see what happens. Not in a good place for the Patriots for sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens next week with the offense, what adjustments they make, if Mac's going to be the quarterback or Zappy. I think it's going to be Mac for sure. You just got to chalk it up to, playing a good Dallas team and, getting outplayed, outcoached to a certain extent as well.
I saw some stats or heard some stats over the weekend where Mac Jones is 0-10 against playoff teams. He's never had a comeback from behind victory, and he's been on the league 3 years now. This is 4th. Dude is not it. Dude is just not it. He's not going to get an extension. I feel that he's not. As long as Bill Belichick is there, he's just...
How many games? He's been in the league 3 years. How many games has he played officially? Because I know I've heard this before, like with quarterbacks, you really don't know what you have until they've played at least like 24 games in their career.
He's 24 games is a lot.
It is. It's about
he's up in the 30s, I would think.
It's almost 2 seasons, right? It's season and a half or so. You get to see what it is, and again, last year I mentioned this before. Last year feels like a throwaway because you didn't have a coordinator there at all. But
so I'm looking at his stats. He's played 17 games in 2021. He's played 14 games in 2022. That right there, if my math is right, that's 31 games, and he's played 3 games. So he's played 34 games, and yes, he got kind of sabotaged, as you say, last year, but you still need to win the close games. And there's plenty of games where the Pats been in it. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over, and I don't know if
is it all him though.
But even if the situation is there, even though they do dumb mistakes and they do, if you have a defense like the Patriots defense where pretty much has been in the top 10 the last 3 years, how can you still be mumbling and jumbling? And it's
doesn't help when you don't run the ball, right? Effectively. 23 carries as a team for 53 yards. That's not helping. All right. And we talked before about their lack of weapons, especially like having a downfield threat, stuff like that. When you go against good teams and you're limited on offense, they can pin their ears back and come after you. And
so would you take Mac Jones over Kenny Pickett?
I think they're both in the same boat where their development is getting hindered by stupidity with the coaching staff and the organization. And these are 2 great organizations, right? If you think of them historically, they've always done the right things. But for the last couple of years, I think, both these organizations have just not done enough to develop their players. When you bring in a quarterback after having Tom Brady, you got to make sure you surround him with talent. You got to make sure people are there to like develop him and nurture him. I feel like the Patriots have done the exact opposite. I'm not saying Mac he doesn't need to shoulder some of the responsibility. He hasn't played that well. But at least for me, as an outsider looking in, I see some semblance, of an offense this year compared to last year. They move the ball from time to time. They lack the weapons to finish drives. And occasionally Mac gets frustrated and forces things and makes bad decisions. And, it ends up costing them the game.
Well, that's what I mean. It's and I'm not, listen, it's hard to step on Tom Brady's shoes and come back and be like, oh, I'm the answer. But having said that, like today, he tried to do too much. That is not what we want quarterbacks to do, is too much, especially when you're young and you're still developing. And fine, if you're going to make your mistakes, learn from your mistakes. But I feel like every week you're saying the same thing. Oh, this is just a learning experience, or, quote unquote, a moral victory, or quote unquote, oh, they should not be making these mistakes. And I don't know if that has to do with them not having a true preseason, them not having a true, OTAs and training camp where, I mean, I know that with the CBA, they don't do pads. Or if they do pads, it's only like shoulder pads. They're not allowed to tackle anybody during the off season and during the training camp or whatnot. So it's like, okay, so what I know that the times are changing, but like, what do you want us to do with, I'm almost like feel like bad for the coaches because they're making it harder for the coaches to be like, listen, they got to hit each other. And I can understand now what Tomlin said, that whole thing, like, hey, you gotta put your starters out in the preseason. Right. But I feel like that's not really helping. Whether you play them or you're not playing them, it's not enough.
We looked great in the preseason.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
And we've looked like the worst offense in the regular season. So I agree when it comes to like game speed and stuff like that, you can't replicate that in the preseason. Like you're playing against guys that are second, third, some players who aren't going to make the team. And players are really not, they're just playing not to get hurt. In the preseason, when you get to like real live, okay, this is where it counts. You're going against the best of the bets. And, if you don't execute, you can get away with it in the preseason. If you don't execute during the regular season, you're just going to look bad. And that's what we're seeing, I think, for both of these teams, just really bad football.
Bad football, bad. And the game is over. It was 30-38 final. So they gave up a lot of points to Dak. Well, they're not. 14 of those points were a defensive point, where we're actually fumble recovery led to a touchdown, interception led to a touchdown. So I'm not going to blame it on the defense because half of those points were not the defense's fault. But
hey, and listen, like defense, like they tend to, if you're on the field repeatedly and your offense is doing nothing, you're not going to keep playing hard. I don't care who you are. You're just not going to keep going out there, playing hard, getting stops, and not see your offense do anything. So eventually you're going to be like, well, shit, don't matter if I get a stop here. My team's not doing anything. We're down a lot of points anyways. So let me just like take it easy and coast from here. Saw that in the Steelers game too.
I mean, looking at the stats, the Cowboys had 22 first downs compared to 10. So they were definitely passing the ball. They were definitely running the ball. They had 124 rushing yards. So, I mean, can you blame the defense? Statistically, they're going to get away with not really letting a lot of points. But it's like, hey, it's like you mentioned, if you're out there, the offense is 3 and out, and you're like, oh, I just took off my helmet. I literally just sat down. Now I got to go back out there. It's not good. It's not good. So let's talk about Pittsburgh because it's like going from a sad place to a sadder
place for real.
I didn't catch any of this game because I was like cooking and hosting and whatnot. So Ron, you said on the podcast last week that this should be a cakewalk.
It should be.
And I told you Houston is frisky. Houston is frisky. And when I see the stats, the rookie did not make a mistake. He did not turn the ball over. There was a couple of sacks, but overall, he played pretty well. So what happened?
He played well. The coaches did a great job with putting him in position where he got rid of the ball quickly. The Steelers did not show up on defense to play the game when the game started. So Levi Wallace once again got toasted like 2 or 3 times for scores. He just cannot cover anyone. And I don't know why we haven't switched him already and benched him for JPJ. But these are the coaching decisions I'm talking about when it comes to Tomlin and how overrated he is as a head coach. But
who's the Steelers defensive coordinator? Because Brian Flores left, right?
Yeah, he's gone. I forgot the guy's name. A nobody, basically. And I'm not saying the defense was the whole issue. Obviously, when you're punting like repeatedly, Kenny threw a bad interception today off a play that they ran like, I swear I've seen that play like 10 times this season. You're not fooling anybody, right? We couldn't run the ball. We run these like basic stupid run plays. Najee's getting hit in, behind the line of scrimmage. It's just bad football, bad coaching, coordinating, and bad play too. Executing. Kenny has looked terrible. There's no other way to put it. He is his own worst nightmare. The same bad habits that he had in college, and these were the only 2 I saw in college. He would run out of a clean pocket. He's done that repeatedly this whole season. And then he doesn't go through his reads quickly. So it takes him too long to like get from 1 to 2 to 3. and he's staring down guys. So those same bad habits have carried over in the NFL, and his interception, like it was just, it should not have made that throw. It's like he got locked in and decided out that he's going to make that throw regardless of his, double coverage, and he got a pick. His injury, he ran out of a clean pocket, right straight into a sack and got hurt. Like, you can't play like that at this level, and expect to have success. So he needs to have part of the blame. The play calling has been absolutely atrocious. There was a point where we were getting drives going, like it was the second half. We're running the ball, getting some good run out of Najee. 4th and 1, they come out in shotgun and threw a pass. I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, I don't get it.
4th and 1 in a shotgun. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles, they discovered to just run the scrum play.
Yeah.
Every time it's short, 1 yard or less, just run the scrum play.
Yeah.
Don't even mess around with throwing it and reverses and all that.
It's just bad from the top all the way down. Like, defensively, we got to do something different. We got these young guys. We got to play them. JPJ has to play. I've seen enough of Levi Wallace. I think that, everyone has seen enough of him. He needs to be benched. JPJ needs to play. Offensively, Matt Canada has to go. That's not going to happen. We all know that's not going to happen. No, despite what Tomlin says every press conference about changes and all this bullshit, it's not going to happen. So in the meantime, we'll see about Pickett's injury. My guess is that it's serious and Trubisky is going to be playing for a couple weeks. We just got to see what we can do. And
you have a fairly easy couple of weeks.
It doesn't matter.
Actually, no. Let me take that back. You have Baltimore, and then you have the LA Rams.
It doesn't even matter who we play. Like, the offense is that terrible. It doesn't matter who we play if you can't put up points. We are the worst team, offensive team in the NFL. I can tell you that with confidence. We're about to watch a Jets game tonight, and all this talk about Zach Wilson, how bad he is. I can guarantee you the Jets offense is better, and they've probably put up more points offensively than the Steelers have.
It is with Zach Wilson is, you're talking about he's not really talented to play in the NFL. With the Steelers offense, the talent is there, but the play calling is not.
Play calling's horrible. The execution is terrible. So it's like, you can't blame just one person. Matt Canada is horrible. He shouldn't even be a coordinator. But then when you don't execute simple, basic plays, you're not doing yourself any favors either, right? So the blocking has been terrible. Pickett has been awful, and the receivers, Deontay being out, that hurts us. He's the best route runner probably in the league. He hasn't been there. Pickens is not a great route runner, but we don't get him any opportunities at all. I think he had we had 2 attempts to Pickens in the first half or some crap like that. I don't know how we expect to win if you're telling me we're only going to throw the ball to him twice in one half. Same with Freiermuth. Like, what's the point of having him as your tight end and you're not even using him? Matt Canada is just awful. And I'm sorry to say, this is going to be what we talk about every single game from now on, because I don't expect Tomlin to do anything differently, because I haven't seen anything differently for him for the past 3 years. So it's more of the same.
Yeah, this is, and I told our friend Steve, who's a Pats fan, I was like, as long as Bill is there, we're going to see this, 50% 500 ball club every year, until he breaks that record. So it's like, we can scream about, hey, better draft, better GM, better, players, whatever the case might be. But, my stepfather is 77 years old. You think he wants to be out there standing on the sidelines, coaching.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to relax.
Right.
And I feel like Bill Belichick, dude, just relax. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times you're going to say, oh, I love this job. I love coaching. Dude, it's time to hang it up.
Yeah.
And I know that he definitely deserved this, most coaches wins category, whatever, but it's time to clean house. It's time to just say, okay, Bill, gone with the one. Because is there a point where, yes, your defense is going to be in the top 10 every year, but if you can't score points, what's the point?
Right. Yeah.
I thought that Bill O'Brien was going to fix this, at least make Mac Jones more reliable. But the stuff that I saw today, with the line jumping, with the penalties, with the pre-penalties, Mac Jones turning the ball over when he doesn't have to. I mean, I know they were down by 20 points at one point, but you're not going to get 20 points all in one play. So just play with the offense, play within the time. Nope.
Yeah. These teams, man, great history, but recent history is like I feel like I'm watching them and like they have no idea what they're doing. Like no idea what they're doing whatsoever. And it's sad to watch, the Steelers just have all these great defensive stars, really good offensive players like Najee and George Pickens and Deontay, and just feel like we're wasting them. I felt like we wasted AB and Big Ben and Bell, to be honest with you. And now I feel like we're waiting these, young, good players because we have a head coach that refuses to do anything different, refuses to fire Matt Canada. I don't know if it's, it's probably not all coming from Tomlin. Maybe it's the Rooneys too, that are not open to making a change. But regardless, the head coach needs to take ownership. He needs to take the play calling away from Canada and do something different. He never does.
I almost feel like sometimes when you find a quarterback, I almost feel like you can count how many great quarterbacks in this league in one hand. Mm-hmm. And I feel like let's take Brock Purdy's situation right now. He's in the best of worlds where he knows that he doesn't have to do a lot. Mm-hmm. He just has to give the ball to his playmakers, let them do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
That's what your quarterback should do. Like, let the playmakers do their thing, whether it's McCaffrey, Debo, Kittles, whatever the case may be. But that falls on their GM, right? To draft players, to trade for good players. If that's not happening,
and your coordinators, right?
And your coordinators, yes.
Purdy is a good. He's a good quarterback, solid, but he's not. I don't think he's any better than Mac Jones or any better than Kenny Pickett. He just fell into a great system with great coaching staff and great coordinators.
And that's what, and that's what Mac Jones should be able to do. Like, he should be able to be like, hey guys, I'm not going to do all the heavy lifting. You guys do the heavy lifting. Right. But like you mentioned earlier, there's no explosive players. Maybe in Pop Douglas, but he doesn't get the ball enough, and he's not really a deep threat. So it's like you don't have a running back that's explosive. You don't have a wide end that's explosive. You have a tight end who's maybe middle of the pack, but it's just. I mean, who are you saving money for? The Crafts? It's the Crafts. They're already loaded. What? Forget about saving money. Just go after players. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, so we had a report. I don't even call it a report. This is just sad.
Yeah. Sad state of affairs.
Sad week 4. And we'll talk about week 5 when we do the podcast midweek. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. Unless, Ron, you want to say something?
No, man, this was just disappointing. I was excited. I was telling you, you wait all week, all excited for Sunday and watch your team play, and they go out and just not just lose, but to just lay an egg like they did. Just didn't show up, looked ill prepared. It's disappointing, and I think what's different about these teams compared to another young team. I don't know any other young team.
Chicago's, Illinois, Carolina.
I feel like those other teams, like sometimes, like some of those teams have hope. I feel like there's like no hope, no hope until like something drastically changes, which won't happen. I just feel like there's no hope.
I mean, look at the Detroit Lions fan base.
Exactly.
They've been waiting for a good team for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Even when Barry Sanders was there, they didn't have a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a good running back.
Right.
So, I think that there's hope for them even through all these many years. And there was hope for the New York Jets until 4 plays into the week 1. So I think that there's hope, and then there is expectations, right? So we're more on the expectation side where we're like, hey, we expect you to win this game. Mm-hmm. We expect you, to be at an excellence level. Nope. It is definitely not happening.
Definitely not. Before we leave, I do want to say this. I've given up on, I don't want to say I'm giving up on supporting the Steelers, but I refuse to wear any Steelers clothing until someone gets fired. So you're not going to see me in a Steelers hat, Steelers shirt, Steelers jersey until Canada gets fired or Tomlin gets fired. Write that down. You're not going to see me in any Steelers gear until one of those guys are gone.
I don't know what's worse. Because I feel like Matt Canada is more popular, more infamous than Mike Tomlin. I feel like as soon as you say Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt Canada's name comes up before Mike Tomlin.
But I think there's a difference though, right? So there's a difference in the national media and like local Pittsburgh media. And I know I don't live in Pittsburgh, but I follow a lot of stuff in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh people are sick of Tomlin. They cannot understand the national attraction to Mike Tomlin. They don't see why people are so obsessed with him. And now I'm starting to like get it, right? Like the dude is, he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but a terrible, decision maker, terrible personnel player. The coaching staff, these are all his guys, and it's been terrible. And it's time for the national media to realize that. I think some people are starting to see that, and they make like outrageous remarks about it and stuff, which, I don't go that far, but, whether it's Canada or Tomlin, like somebody has to go. Like someone has to go.
I feel like we're in the same boat because, I don't listen to local radio stations back in Boston. Sometimes they put them on YouTube, they put clips. They're not 2 hours long, obviously, but they put like a 5-minute clip. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants Bill Belichick gone. Yeah. They want him, gone. It's time for a new regime. It's time for a new change.
But nationally, everyone, he's the best coach of all time.
Nationally, they'll give him credit and they'll give him props and all that. And I'm not ready to have Bill Belichick, be fired. But I'm ready for like the retirement party. I'm ready for the ceremony. I'm ready for let me just hang my shoes up, because whether he breaks the record or not, it's time for a change, and I think it starts with Bill. Yeah. Do I want him fired? No, I'm not at that point yet, but I do want some kind of change. I thought that Bill O'Brien was that change, but apparently it's not going to happen. And I think that the Krabs are going to have a decision of whether to keep Bill or let Mac Jones go, because I don't think Bill O'Brien is going anywhere. He's obviously just a play caller, and if they don't execute the plays he calls, he can't do anything about it. Compared to Matt Canada, at least he's like has something going on, but he doesn't have the players. Right. I feel like with the Steelers, they have the players. Yeah, they just don't have the execution.
Yeah, I was texting my boss about like my frustration with the Steelers and like Mike Tomlin, and he's like, he loves Mike Tomlin, and I'm like, listen, I would rather like root for a shitty team with shitty players that goes out and tries and lose every week than to keep rooting for a team that has great stars and finds ways every week to lose to teams they have no business losing to, and just looks terrible, right? So you can't have all this talent every single year, spend all this money on one of the top defenses in the league every year and not have results. That is people get tired of that. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing it.
Listen, we both picked Pittsburgh over Houston because we knew that Pittsburgh had the defense. We knew that they had the offense. We knew that they had the player personnel, but they didn't execute. Yeah. So they lost. Mm-hmm. They lost. And with the Patriots, we know that they have the execution. We know they have the plays, but they don't have the players. So it's what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It is just the way things are. Yeah, there's nothing much you can do. So, I mean, on that, I guess we'll talk during the week, and we'll talk about week 5 and our upset specials and our new ranking. So yeah, that's gonna be the instant report for week 4. And that, I'll say peace.
Peace. Hey guys, thanks again for listening and supporting us. You can find us at The Sim Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, or you can email us at shutympodcast@gmail.com.